I'm Todd Lieberman, executive producer.
Hi, I'm Ansel Elgort. I play Caleb.
Hi, I'm Courtney. I play Eric.
I'm Theo James. I play Four.
I'm Mekhi Phifer. I play Max.
Good morning, Doug Wick, producer.
Great, thank you. Debbie, let's start with a question right here.
Well, first I have to congratulate all of you. This is awesome, amazing. You outdid yourself, Todd. So congratulations.
Oh, thanks.
But I want to ask.
Well done, Todd.
And Doug, you suck.
I'm getting to you, Doug. Getting to you. I have to ask all of you. Neil Berger directed the first one. You've got Robert Schwenke coming in now. Definite change in tone in terms of intensity, physicality. What difference was it for you having Robert directing you and amping up the physical aspect, your training, and what was required of you this go-round?
Doug, you want to start on that?
Well, I think she wants the actors. When do the actors want to talk about the...
Theo.
I think
One of the actors. No, go.
I think, second movie round, you have the luxury of, you've already set up, some of the kind of key storyline elements. So we had that luxury of jumping straight into the action without kind of, again, exploring characters and introducing them again. Also, his energy is inherently different, which is always good. As much as we like Neil, it's always fun to have someone to add something different, like new actors, like new producers, like anything. It always kind of helps to mix it up. And also, we had a bit more money, so that always helps.
When we started the first movie, the book was a manuscript, and as we started to move forward, it was a relatively small budget. During the course of the first movie, it started to become pretty close to something that was selling 30 million copies. So then there was a direct correlation in budget. The thing where Neil Berger had a really tough job was the hardest thing is to establish a new coherent world that the audience will want to go to, understand, and possibly go back to again. So in a way, the first movie had to establish all these things, including all these wonderful characters, and the second movie got to tear a lot of it up and then have a lot more fun with that world.
And it was kind of the goal for Robert when he came in to say, I really want to blow it out and really take the action to another level. So it was something that he wanted to do from the very beginning.
But at the same time, though, which was really cool about Robert, is that with no discrediting to Neil, but I remember the first day I came to set, Robert sat me in a room for about 15, 20 minutes, and we really just talked about my character's arc throughout the whole story. And he was like, and we're going to keep having these conversations because they're really important. I don't want to lose your character throughout the parts where he's not in it because it's an important arc. And I have a feeling he probably felt that way with everyone's character. And at the same time as being a big action director, to me, he was a great actress director at the same time.
Hi, my question is for Theo. What is what are the favorite part about Four and Trish relationship, and how are Four and Trish different from other couples? This is from my readers.
Kisses from your ears, is it? No. No, sorry, I didn't.
Say again?
Sorry, yeah.
Okay. What is your favorite part about Four and Trish relationship, and how are Four and Trish different from other couples?
Right, I see. Yes. I like the fact that they're mutually. They have mutual respect for one another. I think this movie is different from the first in the sense that in the first, Shay's character is kind of playing catch up in a way because she's introduced to this world, and Four is kind of you don't really know where he's coming from. He's a little bit elusive. Whereas in this movie, he is almost trying to quell her revenge. Her revenge for the death of her parents and her family. So I think the relationship is different in the sense that I think they have kind of a mutual respect for one another, and her femininity doesn't detract from his masculinity, and the other way around. She's still a very strong female lead character, but she is also very feminine at the same time.
Hi, Hi, my question is for the actors. Playing off of Debbie's question earlier, there's a lot more stunts in this film. Was your training any different than the last film, than the film prior? Were there any injuries? Jai, you do a lot more running in this one. Intense.
Did a lot of running, far too much. Yeah, I mean, I guess training-wise, I can't really speak to that. I came into the process a little late, but I mean, the second unit, which often takes control of a lot of those, larger action sequences, was much bigger on this, in this installment. And yeah, I mean, we felt, whether it's budget or just creative vision, there was definitely, it was blown up this time round, and I think that's awesome. I think when we did Divergent, some people referenced it as an action film, and maybe somewhat cockily, I kind of was, I rejected that a little, but I think this definitely is, without question. And it's not to say it abandons, the themes that the story's rooted in, but no, it definitely feels like that. It's fast paced and pretty electrifying. Some of those things.
This is the second movie. I would like to know how your life changed after Divergent.
Is it my turn again?
Yeah.
Is it not Mekhi's turn? Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of our lives have changed a lot. My life obviously changed a lot since Divergent, and then my other movie, Fault in Our Stars, came out. Really changed a lot of people. Like now, every day I go on the street and like people ask for pictures, which is kind of weird and different than before. But it's really nice, I guess, when people recognize your work, because most actors out there never have the opportunity to be seen. So I'm really grateful.
Yes, my question is for Theo. I wanted to ask you about working with Naomi Watts. What was it like? Did you get a lot of prep time with her? And what did you think going in? And what did you think about her, while you were working with her?
Yeah, I was really excited to work with her, obviously, because she's a great actress and has done some phenomenal work. And firstly, which was interesting because she's playing my mum, but she's a bit of a babe. So I had to get past that.
We said they really should be dating in real life.
But no, she's really interesting in this film because she has a very different energy. She's, she's very calculating, but at the same time she has a warmth and a kind of gentleness that almost juxtaposes what her real ambition is. So it was kind of nice that in a way, because it puts you on the back foot, not only as the audience but the character when you're doing the scenes with her. She's not kind of staring you down in a kind of abrasive way. It's very lulling and sweet but intense at the same time. So I think those elements really lend itself well to her character and kind of playing off that.
Hi. So everyone's pretty tough in this movie, but Ansel, your
But
character.
me, I'm not tough.
Sorry, you and Miles, some would say wimp out.
Yeah.
Were you happy with the direction, or did you feel like you missed out on the action?
No.
What did you think about your character?
I'm glad you asked this, because I think it's really cool that it's not only, even though while I watched the movie, I was like, Jai is badass. Like, the way he ran, I was like, he's a freaking action star. But Caleb is definitely not badass. He wasn't dauntless. The reason he leaves Triss and Four to go back to Erudite is because he knows he's not cut out for this. That's what he says. I'm not cut out for this. I'm gonna die. So it was definitely a conscious choice of mine to make sure Caleb wasn't, because I'm a physical guy. I play basketball, rock climb, and I like to be physical. But Caleb definitely isn't. So if you even watch the film and the way Caleb runs, he looks like he doesn't belong. He looks like he's gonna trip over any second, because to tell you the truth, it's never been something that he did. And I wanted to make a conscious decision and be specific with that, and not just have him, not everyone is a superhero. Not everyone's an action hero. I think Caleb represents the intellectual, and he represents someone who definitely, wouldn't be able to run away from people shooting him, and that's why he decides to leave them.
And we actually, there was a scene that we wanted to even bolster that idea. There was a scene that we did a little bit of additional shooting on in the train when Triss is getting beat up and Caleb has the opportunity to potentially step in, and we then showed him making the decision not to. So it's kind of an intellectual, it's a character thing rather than a physical thing.
This year, or this film, has a few more new characters this year. There's a year, I keep saying year, sorry. It is a new year. You have Octavia Spencer and Naomi Watts added to the cast along with some others. So when you guys were firmly established as a group in the first film, so do you have to welcome them in, or do they already sort of fit right in instantly? Are they entering this club that's already, has its own little factions there? Or is it pretty exciting to welcome new people, especially of their caliber, like Octavia, who's won an
We had like
Oscar?
separate dinners. Like they weren't allowed to come to the same dinner. But maybe next movie. Does someone actually want to answer that question? Sorry. No, I mean, I'll answer. Yeah, it was awesome. It's like incredible, especially for someone like me. I'm like really new to this business, and to be able to say to say the list of actors I've already worked with is incredible, and a lot of that is due to Divergent. Kate Winslet, Naomi Watts, Octavia Spencer. I was just at the Oscars for the first time, which was amazing, and I was sitting next to Octavia Spencer, and I was able to act all cool, like, yeah, I've worked with Octavia Spencer. I know her for a long time. It was cool.
So you were also guarding that bag at the Oscars?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to put Mekhi on the spot now, since
Yeah.
he's been awfully quiet. You really show a lot of nuanced texture with Max this go-round. You're showing us some ambivalence, some ambiguity in what's happening around Max. Without saying anything, just in your presence and your facial nuance. How did you go about establishing these little hints and these little touches to make Max much more three-dimensional than we had seen before?
Well, I think, in the first one, obviously, like as Theo said, we were establishing a world and establishing who was who and everything like that. I think in this go-around, things have gotten a little more complicated as far as the world is concerned, as far as us ramping up, finding these divergents and sort of my pairing up with Kate Winslet's character to sort of try to get society back in order. And, it's interesting, this is the first time I've ever played a character or been in a trilogy sort of scenario where I didn't know where the character was going. Usually I would read a script and sort of know the character arc and know where he's going. And in this, without having a whole bunch of dialogue, a whole bunch of lines, I had to try to find ways to make the character interesting and to constantly be thinking. And so, I feel like Max's character has a method. He has a method to his madness. And I want to try to portray that, in other ways than just the dialogue. Thanks.
This question is for Ansel. Was it weird going from brother and sister with Shailene and then making out with Shailene and then going back to being, was that weird to get back into character as her brother?
I was so excited because last time at the press junket, my joke was that was the only question I got asked. So you've kicked off the second press junket, and now I'm another fury of that question. So thank you. Yeah, it was definitely really weird. I don't know how we did it, but we pulled it off somehow. So we're very happy that somehow it worked.
You wanted a kissing scene at one point in
Yeah,
Insurgent,
I asked
didn't you?
Theo if it was all right. I was like,
Between you.
listen, man. He said he wasn't feeling well, and I said, listen, I've done it before, and I can step in tomorrow. The guys who do the visual effects are good in this movie, so they could have easily changed our bodies, and it would have been cool.
Sorry.
Text message.
This question is for Ansel and Theo. This movie really revolves around family. And did you draw from your own family lives to portray your characters in any way?
No, not directly in the sense that, well, especially he has not great relationship with either of his parents, and luckily I have two good parents. But that was one thing that was something that needed addressing a little bit when it came to the Naomi scenes, because you know, it is kind of the same in essence. He's estranged from both parents, but I didn't want it to be a repeat of what he has with his father. So so you know, we needed to kind of discuss that between Naomi and I. But in terms of drawing on my own family, I think the importance of family is you know, tantamount is for me is a big thing. So yeah, using, you know, those feelings and thoughts and philosophy and incorporating that in character is definitely something that I did a little.
Yeah. For me, I have a great mother and father, sort of like the way Caleb had a great mother and father, and it was just about feeling betrayed at a point when you felt like you could trust them. My character felt somewhat betrayed by his parents. They were hiding this thing underneath their house the whole time, and it could have ended all the bloodshed that was happening if they would have just given the box over to Janine. And I felt like my parents were the type of people that would make that decision, because Caleb doesn't know beyond that. He thinks that is, you know, there's nothing wrong with giving up the box. That's what he felt. I think you find out later that there was a reason why they were protecting it from Erudite. But Caleb he's totally betrayed by his parents. And for me, I trust them, and if I was betrayed by my parents, I'd be very hurt, and I probably would be upset and probably be like numbed by that. And that's how Caleb is in that cell scene.
This question is for Ansel and Theo. Shailene tends to be somewhat of an open book, but over the years when you've been working with her, what is one thing you learned about her that you think her fans may not know?
I think most things they don't know. Shailene is an open book, but at the same time, she's a very complex person. And most of the thing is that I think with all of us, our fans don't know everything about us, and that's a good thing. Shailene, hey Siri.
What's Siri sorry about? I'm extremely sorry about this press conference.
Thanks, Siri.
But yeah, I think that most of the stuff that she wants you to know about her, she tells you, which is cool. But then the stuff she needs to keep private to be herself, she keeps private. That's the same with all of us. So.
Hello guys, I saw Cinderella a couple of weeks ago and I thought, man, we shouldn't be retelling these stories where men come rescue the damsel in distress. We're in 2015, and I think this is a very refreshing story where we have female characters at the very center. How refreshing and how important you think is to have those stories today?
Yeah, it's extremely important, and it's kind of even increased in this movie, I think, because you have Octavia and Naomi, and then obviously Shay, and I mean, there's lots of and Kate, of course, and the central story is about Triss. It's about her journey and her, her ascension, but also her, her emotionality and her ability to forgive. And I think the great thing about this is you have a character at the center of the film who is. She's a superhero kind of in a way, in terms of she's very powerful but at the same time she's not afraid to be scared and fearful or feminine and all those features. So and then on top of that you have these great other really strong leading performances from other women too. And also, I don't think it detracts from the I think the men and the women, they're very much equal, and I think that's quite refreshing in itself. They're
One thing about Shay's strength, when we were casting the first movie, and we were looking for the male lead, and we did a lot of screen tests, and with every young guy who was said to be the next big movie star in town. And in each of the screen tests, Shay blew them off the screen. She was so strong that she crumbled people. And we were really worried because we had a start date. And Theo was the first person who came in who, in his own way, you felt two complete equals. So and the same thing with Jai, which is that in terms of an adversary, she has such a presence and she's such a strong female that you really do need strong male energy or the story doesn't work.
We have time for one last question right here.
This one is for the actors. When you were shooting the first movie, Divergent was just a manuscript. But now, a year later, shooting Insurgent now, it's sold millions and millions of copies. Series is huge. There's a fan base that they have certain characters they like and certain expectations of the characters. Does that affect how you portrayed the characters the second time?
I don't think so. I think that we just, well, certainly I felt just more freedom the second time round. You know, I don't think it boxed us in anymore because there was expectation. I think the beauty of knowing these characters and getting to know them over the course of, a first film is that, you get to kind of, I don't know, it's a rare privilege, to go back and be able to do it because, it was funny. I was working on something else when I came out to the set of Insurgent, and I remember the night before I started work, I kind of had this freak out of like, I've completely forgotten who Eric is. I've got no idea what I'm doing tomorrow. Feeling like it was all going to be different, and perhaps some of that pressure that you're talking about. But it's like muscle memory, and the beauty of having a script that's been developed while we were working on something, and then further developed with an awareness of what worked for certain characters. You look at Miles' role. It was written for Miles doing Peter this time round. It's perfect. It's so full, and so he has so much to play with, within the boundaries of what he set up. So, yeah, I think quite the opposite. I think it's, you can introduce things that, with Neil, for instance, and Eric, I was concerned about certain choices being boring because, we had to establish a function and keep this guy in a certain zone that worked for that thing. And the beauty of it, you can keep that, but then with Robert, he gave me the freedom to explore some of the humor and bring in these other colors, which I think was, fulfilling as a performer, but also, creates a more well-rounded performance.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys,
Is that
yeah.
from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey